The reason you waste 15 minutes checking email before starting deep work isn't procrastination, it's a hidden, powerful mental barrier. We'll show you the scientific moment your brain finally breaks through to peak focus and how to trigger it instantly.
You know that feeling, right? That initial resistance, that invisible force pulling you towards anything but your most important task? Well, it isn't a moral failing. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a predictable, measurable, biological phenomenon. So today, we're not just going to talk about it. We are going to dismantle it. We're giving you a protocol that treats focus not as some mystical art form, but as a precise science of transition. The science of moving your brain from scattered distraction into singular, powerful concentration on command.
Okay, let's dive right in with what we call the procrastination paradox. You know the scene. You've blocked out the time, you've got your coffee, you genuinely want to do the work, and yet you just can't seem to start. That's because you can only get to deep work after your brain overcomes a very real cognitive barrier. We call this the focus threshold. Think of it as the price of admission to a state of flow. Just trying to push harder is like trying to ram your shoulder through a locked steel door. It's exhausting, it's totally ineffective, and it just reinforces the idea that the task is painful. The secret isn't more force, it's finding the key.
So to beat this barrier, we first have to diagnose it, right? We have to see it clearly. So we're about to put a name to the two core forces that build this invisible wall. The forces that keep you stuck in the shallows, unable to access the true depths of your cognitive potential.
Okay, the first force is called shallow work drag. Your brain, you see, evolved over millennia to do one thing really well: conserve energy. Deep, focused work is metabolically expensive. It burns a ton of glucose. But shallow work, like checking email or scrolling through a feed, that's cheap. It gives you a quick, easy hit of novelty and a false sense of getting things done with almost no real cognitive cost. This isn't a flaw in your brain, it's an ancient survival feature. But in our world, that feature creates a constant, powerful current pulling you away from the work that actually matters. Now the second force, well, this one's even more insidious: attention residue. Let me give you an analogy. Your brain's working memory is like the RAM on your computer. It's incredibly powerful, but it's finite. But every unfinished task, every email you need to reply to, every difficult conversation you're putting off, each one of those leaves a little program running in the background. So when you finally try to launch the big, resource-heavy application called deep work, your whole system just lags. This mental clutter, this residue, is clogging your cognitive workspace, making the effort required to cross that focus threshold exponentially higher.
And this, right here, brilliantly illustrates the two states you can operate from. Just look at the column on the left, the default brain state. This is where most of us spend our days if we're not careful. The focus threshold is sky high, the brain is constantly scanning for those cheap dopamine hits from distractions, and procrastination just becomes the normal mode. And every time you switch tasks, you pay this massive cognitive tax we call the task switching penalty. Seriously, think about how long it takes to get back into a complex report after just one email interruption. That's the penalty in action, and it can cost you up to 20 minutes of productive time. But now look to the right, the protocol prime state. Here, we've systematically lowered the threshold. The brain is actually ready for effort. It engages in deep work, and that penalty is minimized. See, the goal is not to fight the default state with willpower. It's to systematically shift into the prime state before you even begin.
So the big question is, how do we make that shift? Not with vague intentions like, I'll try to focus more, but with a system. We are now moving from diagnosis to prescription. What you're about to see is an elegant three-part protocol designed to systematically deconstruct that invisible wall and lower your personal focus threshold on command. This is where we get tactical.
And here it is, the entire system at a glance. Think of this as your mental map to peak focus. Phase 1, the audit, is all about knowing your enemy, pinpointing the specific things that raise your threshold. Phase 2, the ritual, is about preparing for battle, a deliberate warm-up for your mind. And Phase 3, the lock, is how you actually force the breakthrough. Each step is a crucial link in a chain that pulls you across the threshold and straight into deep work.
So let's start with Phase 1, the Cognitive Friction Audit. You can't defeat an enemy you don't understand. So the first step is just simple awareness. Now, the external triggers are obvious, right? Your phone buzzing, email pop-ups, chat notifications. But the internal triggers, they're often way more powerful. Is it a recurring worry about a project deadline? A conversation you're avoiding? That little flicker of imposter syndrome telling you a task is too hard? That's rumination, and it's a huge source of attention residue. So just take a moment, identify your top 3 internal and external points of friction. Knowing them is the first step to neutralizing them.
This audit leads you right into phase 2, the transition ritual. And this is your non-negotiable mental warm-up. I mean, think about it. An athlete would never try to sprint at max speed from a standing start, yet we expect our brains to perform at peak capacity with zero preparation. This ritual has 2 parts. First, a cognitive offload, or a mind dump. For 2 minutes, you just write down every single thing on your mind. Get it all out. That clears out the attention residue. Second, a low-friction pre-launch. You identify and do the single easiest first step of your main task. Not the whole thing, just opening the document or writing the headline. This simple action starts the engine and creates that crucial initial momentum.
And that momentum carries you directly into the most important part, phase 3, the effort compression lock. Now listen up, because this is the heart of the whole protocol. It's a short, fixed, and absolutely non-negotiable block of time. We recommend 20 minutes where you are 100% committed to a single task. No phone, no email, no distractions. The sheer intensity and the all-or-nothing nature of this commitment forces your brain to give up its search for novelty and fully engage. It compresses your effort into a powerful burst that just blasts through any remaining resistance. This is the moment you force the breakpoint.
So that's the what. But for this protocol to really become a core part of your workflow, you need to understand the why. What's actually happening inside your brain that makes these simple steps so ridiculously effective? We're about to look under the hood at the psychological and neurological mechanisms the system activates to literally rewire your brain for focus.
You know, the science behind that mind dump is this fascinating principle called the Zeigarnik Effect. It was discovered by observing waiters who could remember these super complex, unpaid orders perfectly, but would forget them the instant the bill was paid. See, our brains are hardwired to obsess over incomplete tasks. That is the scientific name for attention residue. So when you do the cognitive offload, you're not actually finishing all those tasks. Instead, you're making a plan for them, which is enough to signal to your brain, hey, I've got this. You can let it go for now.
And the result is this. Boom! You've used the Zeigarnik Effect to your advantage. You've achieved psychological closure on all those distracting open loops. The intrusive thoughts just fade away. It's the mental equivalent of closing dozens of unnecessary tabs on your browser. And suddenly, your working memory is cleared. You've got the full cognitive bandwidth available for the one task that really matters.
Okay, next let's talk about the effort compression lock. This part of the protocol is a targeted workout for a critical function run by your prefrontal cortex, or PFC. That's the part of your brain right behind your forehead that handles decision-making and self-control. This specific function is called inhibitory control. It's your brain's ability to actively suppress distractions, to literally say no to irrelevant thoughts and impulses. It is quite literally a mental muscle, and just like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So here's the crucial point. This is not just some temporary productivity hack. Every single time you successfully complete an effort compression lock, every 20-minute focus sprint, you are doing a rep for your prefrontal cortex. You are structurally improving your brain's ability to focus over time through neuroplasticity. This protocol isn't just about getting in the zone today. It's about making it progressively easier to enter that zone every single day in the future. It is a long-term investment in your cognitive capacity.
And finally, the protocol cleverly hijacks your brain's own reward system. See, procrastination often creates a negative loop. You avoid a task, you feel guilty, and then you want to avoid it even more. This protocol reverses that completely. When you complete that short, intense block of work, your brain registers it as a mastery experience. You won. You overcame the resistance. This success releases a small, healthy dose of dopamine, the molecule of motivation, and that reward reinforces the entire neural pathway, training your brain to associate focus not with pain, but with victory.
All right, we've covered the theory and the science. Now, let's make this ruthlessly pragmatic. I'm going to give you the exact, non-negotiable prescription to implement this protocol immediately. No ambiguity, no guesswork. Just 3 simple steps to force the breakpoint and enter deep work on command. Here it is, your execution protocol. First, a mandatory 5-minute transition ritual to clear the mental decks and build momentum. Second, a strict 20-minute effort compression lock to force the breakthrough. And third, a powerful verbal acknowledgment cue to anchor this new state in your mind. This is your new standard operating procedure for starting any session of important work. Let's really focus on step 2, the 20-minute effort compression lock. You set a timer. For these 20 minutes, you enter a complete digital quarantine. This means your phone is not just on silent, it is off, or even better, in another room. All unnecessary browser tabs are closed,
all notifications on your computer are silenced, you are 100% committed to single tasking. Treat this time block as sacred. It's the crucible where focus is forged. It might feel tough at first, but this focused pressure is what forces the cognitive shift.
And now for step 3, the final piece of the puzzle. When that 20-minute timer goes off, pause. Before you do anything else, say this phrase to yourself, either out loud or just in your head: threshold crossed, momentum generated. Now, this isn't some cheesy affirmation. It's a powerful reinforcement technique. You're using language to create a label for the mental shift you just engineered. You're cementing the memory of that success, making it easier for your brain to replicate the feeling and the process next time.
As we bring this all together, I want to leave you with the single most important mindset shift that this entire protocol is built on. If you remember nothing else from this explainer, let it be this. This one idea reframes the entire challenge of productivity.
Here it is. Deep work is a skill of transition, not duration. Your ability to produce world-class work is not determined by how many hours you can chain yourself to a desk. It's determined by how efficiently and how reliably you can transition your brain from a state of distraction to a state of deep focus. Stop measuring your productivity in 8-hour blocks. Start mastering the first 15 minutes of each block. If you win the transition, you win the day.
So let's wrap this up with a quick masterclass recap. What problem does the Focus Thresholds protocol solve? It solves shallow work drag and that frustrating procrastination that keeps you from starting. Why does it matter? Because it gives you a systematic way to minimize the costly task switching penalty and dramatically accelerate your entry into a flow state. How does it work? Well, the transition ritual neutralizes attention residue by clearing your mental workspace, while the effort compression lock strengthens your inhibitory control, making focus a stronger muscle over time. And this all boils down to one core principle. Productivity isn't about doing more, it's about mastering systems that make focus effortless.
You now have the system, the diagnosis, the prescription, and the science behind it. You have the exact tool to overcome resistance and force the breakpoint into deep focus. The only question left is a simple one. Will you use it tomorrow?